Yo, and welcome to the iSpooge Daily channel. This is an experimental tech and media brand, and today we're going to experiment with just visualizing my life the way it should be. Me with a house and a garage and, a normal life, whatever that means, but just a life where I can be part of the community, part of my industry, not have to put up with weird attacks over this and that, not have problems getting employment because of this or that reason. Just like, I don't know how to get to that point from here, but it feels like no life should be in the garbage can, as mine seems to be, and I just can't even. It feels silly to sit down and even visualize a future for myself. I don't know what it will be. And, so if I'm kind of like defeated into not even being able to picture my own dream life, like, how can I consciously take steps to get there? Like, my dream life is just 1% growth, and I don't know where that leads. Just, growth towards the good, the beautiful, the true. But come on, God, I want a house. You just gotta work for it. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I'm working for it. Like, I'm doing my works, I'm doing my faith, but like, where is it? And Job's friends doubted him, and he became like the gatekeeper of their forgiveness. And Joseph rotted in prison for years, false accusation. Finally, someone remembered him and recommended him for a job, and he got the job and lived happily ever after. But like, if I can't connect with anybody, if, I'm just stuck in the bottom of a well and there are people constantly peeing down into the well on me and telling everyone else in the village that it's a toilet. Anyway, I don't know how long this is going to go on. I'm just going to like chill for a little bit. And I mean, having access to AI to, work with has been a huge boon. It still doesn't meet the needs for just like, I'm not trying to be friends with it or anything, and hey, they made ChatGPT so you can't be friends with it anyway. So yeah. So yeah, I mean, it's like, I'm not really like suffering or miserable or anything. I'm just like not where I want to be. I don't see a way there. Like, I don't want to be sleeping in my car. I don't want to be working 16-hour doubles every single day and still not have enough money for an oil change. So I'm not going to share the details of my dream life. But yeah, and I'll just mention, if you want to get added to the chat, I mean, I might probably turn chat off on streams like this, but in general, if I'm doing like live streaming with AI or something, then we could have some commentators who are people who I recognize. So just like, send your YouTube username if you've been in chat before. And when there's a critical mass of people who are going to be there showing up and counterbalancing the person who wants to come in and slap me with their man bits every time. You know? Like, that kind of attack is only effective because there's not organized counterforce against them. And don't feed the trolls, you know. I really don't know about chat on this platform because, yeah, they can get your username. If you got contact info, they can find you even if they're blocked. Like, shouldn't be this way. And so this ideal future includes, you know, when I was first finding narcissism stuff, the advice was to just totally disappear to a different country so that the narcissist can't chase you. I'm not going anywhere to get away from a narcissist. They can keep testing. Eventually there just has to be consequences, and so two people praying together is supposed to be more powerful than one person praying alone. And so that's part of the value of the live streams, you know, all the way back to when I first started it. One of the ideas was to just completely minimize the time for anything to intercept the bits. Although that conversation I had with AI about how disembodied spirits would most easily disrupt some kind of stream, it wouldn't be manipulating the bits. It would be using their omniscience to influence things that are happening before, this was in the context of AI, before the prompt is given to AI, you know, influence the training materials, influence the researchers. But on a case-by-case basis, it did seem to imply that manipulating bits could be possible as well. But anyway, you know, this is 7-8 years ago, before any of that, before that chat that I had with AI like a few weeks ago. So the idea was kind of to minimize the time, you know, between the camera capturing the frame, encoding it, streaming it over to the internet, downloading to the other computer, being displayed on the screen. You know, minimize that time to make it so that, you know, if there's some field that exists in space and time together, you know, electromagnetic, you know, heart coherence or whatever, like everyone who's watching right now, like actually magnetic fields can be detected into infinity with infinitely sensitive detectors, right? So whoever's watching right now, like all of our heartbeats in some very, very small way can get coherent with each other, you know? That's something that live streams can do that uploaded videos can't. It's still not perfectly live. I just set the setting on the streams to ultra low latency too, so it should be as close to possible as possible. And the Raspberry Pi based live streaming platform that I made for publish to your own site, syndicate everywhere stuff, it was as fast as YouTube and Twitch as well. So, you know, so the idea of using live streams to pray together is huge and foundational to the channel. And part of what's so annoying about having live streams blocked by someone, obviously a child of the devil, but whether they know it or not, you know. Anyway, comments that kind of support the vision. it feels like narcissistic to just like be doing this on my stream, but it's not, because anybody can set up a channel in a stream, and you can do it on your stream. And if we know each other, maybe I'll come. And if I want you to win, maybe I'll come and like visualize what you want to win at with you, you know? Like this could be a whole type of channel if it's not already. Doing stuff like this breaks loops, breaks cycles, you know. Sometimes the things that pop out of reality are so just choreographed and synchronistic, not deja vu necessarily, or even usually, just, which is, you know, all the more weird. It's like these perfectly timed and scripted situations just pop out. And it's repeated, you know. Is there really some kind of manifestation happening and some kind of loop that something is trying to keep me or whoever, you know, has powerful manifestation abilities? Like when you fast and stuff, you'll probably get better at manifesting. So if these people could get stuck in some kind of loop, that it would program these noticeable, perfectly choreographed repetitions of the loop cycle. Is there like some system keeping the loop enforced around a person, or is it self-reinforced, or both, you know? You start stepping outside of the loop, and so they start sending a little bit extra in, but you expect that to happen because that's happened so much. And so you yourself kind of manifest the enforcement of your own loop. And so getting on to like, I mean, just in this one narrow concrete example, getting onto a stream with chat turned off and blah, 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 you know, Like, forget this loop. Forget feeling like I can't get on a live stream. Maybe it's not like I want a live stream, but now we got this whole new type of channel that maybe hasn't been done before. I'm sure it has been done before a lot. You know, like co-invented or whatever, like where multiple people invent the same thing. Like this time just born out of some certain set of circumstances. Like, I don't know what's going to get me into a house again. You know, I haven't been homeless forever. But I think whatever it'll be, it will be something found when not in a cycle. Like, you know, when my manifester is allowed to, you know, step outside and do something new. All the way back to that video, I wasn't able to find it where I talk about, you know, the way out, you know, you're swirling down the toilet bowl of poverty. And the way out is actually to scratch a hole in the porcelain and get up to the top. You know, it's the same. Another cycle, you know. Like, part of the cycle is recognizing that I'm stuck in a downward cycle and knowing that I need to break out of it through something unconventional. Something that I did was sublime vulgarity. And people commented how, like, hypnotizing my vulgarity was. It was awesome, and now I don't even swear. But yeah, I was locked into sublime vulgarity for a while. And what there's the fight, flight, freeze, fawn, all the F responses. So that was the F response, is in the F word, you know. Everyone knows what the F word is. The F word response. Just like do something so out of the box. And that was kind of another instance of breaking out of a loop by doing something just purely creative. I really don't even want to try to envision the path that'll get me there. I don't want to expect anything. I just want to get there. I think Japanese culture, I could be completely mistaken. Their culture, it's bad luck to pray for. I shouldn't even quote Japanese, but I've heard two different things that it's bad luck to like pray for. One is money, and one is opportunity. So like, why do I want a house? Because I want a garage. I want a garage I can park my car in and change my oil and, do whatever. Like, I still probably want to travel in my car or have another vehicle to travel in, and still do urban camping while I travel. I mean, I don't want to throw the whole baby out in the bathwater. It's not terrible sleeping in my car. I just want security too, just a fixed spot that I can go back to, where I don't have to drive, where I can keep stuff. So like a bigger van, like a big van. I have a Honda Civic right now. It's not even that cramped for space, because since I don't live in it, I only sleep in it. Like, if you open up the trunk and look at it, it looks like a normal trunk. If you look in the back seat, okay, you'll see a laundry basket. You guys have seen in when I've recorded videos there, like the last video. There's a laundry basket with like a sleeping bag and some sleeping clothes. And then, a couple storage bins with all my toiletries and like my hair clippers and all that kind of stuff. One full of clothes. So it's like not unlike just someone who works 2 jobs and doesn't go home all day. I mean, the car would fit the profile. You've got a few changes of clothes. You've got pretty much whatever you need in case, you get a hot date and you got to trim your hair in a bathroom real quick or something. My life isn't really bad. It's just I am very vulnerable because I don't have a lot of income. So even if I had the same life with more income, it would be fine. I feel like having more income in my present life, though, would attract a lot more predators. But then as long as I'm earning the income righteously, you guys don't even, maybe when I'm not on the street anymore, I'll talk about the predators that there are on the street. I don't talk about any of that because, don't feed the trolls on YouTube. Don't feed the predators who know where you sleep. And I feel like there's like supernatural forces that stop them from being able to do anything, because I feel like they want to. But I don't really lose sleep over it. I'm just all the way back to my first night sleeping in my car in San Francisco. I knew that it wasn't my place to die in the back of my car, and so I've never even had a problem going to sleep. And people really leave me alone for the most part. But yeah, it's so hard to picture going from where I am now to where I want to be. Like, it's just not even a path that can be planned for, because we talked about yesterday, 3-4 years, like you drop someone into a random town, and that's someone with a car, with a lot of stuff. Myself, I got here with more than what a lot of people have, and still, the projections say it'll take at least 3 years. Because the first year I saved everything, but I sort of made everyone see me as just this person that I'm really not, because I was just saving every penny. And, not talking about my situation or anything like that. Like, I was just this Jeffrey Dahmer, I don't know, weird, like, psycho guy with no personality. And I would not recommend people make their first impression trying to save all of their money and get off the street. Because, as we found, it's not even going to be possible until at very least year 2. Because year 1, you got to buy everything you need. Year 1... I scrimped and I went without everything. Year 2, year 1 into year 2, I started buying everything. Basically, this time last year, I ran out of savings, and then as we got closer to the up season again, I'm just like, I'm not even going to try to save money anymore, and I just haven't tried to save money all through the up season. I ended up buying the phone. Last year I didn't have phone service, so I've been buying phone service. I've been buying clothes. I've been buying, at some point not that long ago, I had to do car registration because it was several months late last time. There's money to spend. Things cost money. So year 1, you're not even possible to get into housing. Year 2, maybe you have everything you need, you scrimp, you save, you work extra, maybe you get into housing year 2. So me thinking about where I am now to me being in the situation that I want, which is housed, it's going to be at least a year, and I can't picture anything different in this next year from the last year. Can you see how a person would be without hope, without the ability to close their eyes and just see something? Like, I see blackness. Like, I cannot see. I have to really push some kind of image of what I think I want in there. I'm deluding myself into thinking I want a house with a garage. I mean, I've done my end by coming to this town that I've come to where that is an attainable dream. I mean, Des Moines, Iowa would be more expensive than this town. Oh, but it's California. Forget your delusion about prices in California. We're in NorCal. It's agriculture country. Van lifers are told to go around the Central Valley, where I am. Like, unless you're working in agriculture, you're not in the Central Valley. You don't want to be here. There's not demand for real estate that much. Yeah, Bay Area people, they're coming. But largely they're jumping over, I think the Bay Area people who come here are probably going to leave pretty quick or really love it because they weren't even expecting, from left coast to far west, It's more like Arizona or something here. So there's no need to go anywhere else. I'm good. You know, the visualization. I'm here for reasons other than just housing prices too. You know, it's because actually agriculture and water. I want to have my own garden. So my own property is more important than my own house, actually. Because one can have a property for agriculture that's a private garden, for example. So, I mean, that to me is even acceptable. And it doesn't mean I would even sleep there every night. You know, I'd go there probably seasonally. I'd end up staying a lot, you know, work in the garden. But for a lot of the year, you know, it's, or like at times when I could hire help even. So yeah, it's hard to visualize, you know, this nice home property, even though it's very attainable here. But it's not like a rigid vision. If I had land, you know, if I had enough income, if I had my car registered, you know, I can't tell you how insecure it makes me feel to sleep in an unregistered car, to drive around in an unregistered car. I mean, if you've ever done it, you know. And it's also a signal to everybody that you don't have money. So you go to some neighborhood, even with I think right now I keep my car clean so people don't really even look at the registration. But if you see a dirty car, one of the first things you look at is the registration. If you see a clean car, I'd say like 90% of the cars in this town get washed every week. Like, this is a super clean, safe town. So if I'm driving around a dusty car that doesn't have registration, like, I can't tell you how insecure that makes me feel. Like, whenever I register my car, because like the last many years I've always been late to register it, and then there's more fees, there's fines on top of that too. I don't know what it is, why I can't just get it registered on time. This year it's because I went to San Francisco instead of register it. Like, because I knew it was the end of the high season. It would be my last chance to go to the Bay Area. I hadn't gone in a while. There was a good roster of events, or a good agenda of events that I put together. And I thought, I hope I can register my car, you know, with the next check. That's a risk. It was a calculated risk. I knew there was a good chance I'd end up here. But, you know, that was the trip where I got to talk to a bunch of people in AI. There's nothing like that here. You know, I've got to go to the Bay Area for that. And I think if I want my agency, my consulting to move at all, I just need to go to on the ground events in the Bay Area. Because just like I was saying about mobile phones and communication and stuff, and even, you know, we'll forget the heart coherence of being 2 feet away from somebody, you know. But, you know, that on top of everything I said in the video about 2 videos ago about mobile phones. Yeah, it might make sense to tell 99.999% of homeless people to get out of the Bay Area. But I'm, a very high level, capable player in the industry that's centered there. So while it may be good advice for 9,999 people out of 10,000, it might be bad advice for 1 out of 10,000. Get out of the Bay. I had 5 six-figure salary jobs there, plus whatever freelance and stuff on the side at, upwards of triple digits per hour. Like, that work flows like water there. I can go to meetups and get it easy. If I don't look homeless, if I'm not an out-of-towner, whatever I can do to remove doubts that people might have about me. Because people are pretty risk averse too, for better or worse. I mean, there's calculated risks that are a little different than risk averse, but when you're playing with limited runway, you don't want to pay somebody who's not going to work out, But overall, this is a good place to live. It's just, it could be better for my career. So having my house here and going there as much as I need to, and sleeping in my car there, totally fine. I could literally sleep in my car 5 nights a week and come back home here, and that would be fine. As long as my car is registered and clean and doesn't have too many valuables in it, if I've got a home base somewhere, I can sleep in my car wherever. Sleeping in the car isn't the problem. It's the rest of my life that doesn't have the security and stuff that's the problem. So if you feel sorry for me sleeping in my car, don't worry about that. Feel sorry about me not having a place. I've got a storage unit to keep my stuff in, but it's just not readily accessible, If I want to do some project and reorganize everything, I can't do it at my storage locker. You just can't do that kind of project at the storage unit. What you would do is take everything you want to reorganize home, reorganize it, and then bring it back to storage. You don't want everyone seeing all of your valuable possessions and stuff. What do you got to hide? It's just, you just don't want to invite it, And it's an obstruction to whatever hallways you're in, and you're on surveillance camera all day, which, whatever, you're not doing anything wrong, but I still feel like cameras sort of steal a piece of your soul. As I say this onto a camera, but at least it's my camera. It's not like there's not already other cameras that I'm on, so it doesn't hurt there. But for there to be pictures and video of you doing something like that, and then you don't even have a copy, it's sort of degrading or humiliating, or and video can be altered and blah, blah, blah. Oh, and you think people are going to do that? You think people care that much about it? It's that it can be, It's not an argument. It's just, an expression of how I feel and what I think about it. But yeah, growing all my own food, and God, I eat Taco Bell for every meal. How far away is that piece of the dream? Growing all my own food. is it really groundbreaking that when a homeless person gets a job, they're not immediately housed? I've said that for a long time, but now, doing business while homeless and whatnot, it's like we literally have. I mean, does it even need a paper trail? But we've got enough paper to draw trend lines and stuff on to show what's possible. It's just not possible. Get a job, bum. Like, is that even something that people say to homeless people anymore? Get a job? Like, what's that going to fix? It's not going to fix anything. If everything goes right for like 2 years, maybe it'll fix something. We got answers. We got the logistic answers to why not just 2 jobs, Well, this is why, because this is what the week schedule looks like and what needs to be done, how we need to move around. And you make the argument, oh, well, such and such has 3 jobs and sends 2 of his checks back home. Well, such and such has an apartment to live in between jobs. Like, it's literally impossible to have like 2 jobs that you go to on the same day and get everything else done. I mean, provably it cannot be done. And then just the fact that, on Saturdays especially, like, I'm not going to sit and complain, and I don't want to manifest problems for myself by talking about it. But I've told you about the work conditions where I just don't stop, and I basically have 2 jobs in one. I go there. I literally change at work because I go from janitor to dishwasher. And I'm prepping. And if things are really, if someone calls out or something, I'm also jumping to the pantry a lot too, because I do know how to, I can prep everything in pantry, except some of the desserts I just haven't practiced on very much. But I've made everything in pantry. I can make everything in pantry, or salad, if you will. Salad station or pantry station, whatever. So, I mean, I'm not saying I'm the only one either. Like, we're all stretched extremely thin. And so at the end of one of those days, do you think there might be physical soreness? It's not 5 or 6 hours of sitting at a computer. I'll tell you that right now. And, just skip a shot. Have you been a dishwasher? Not only do you wash dishes, but today I was behind a water heater, And not only was I behind a water heater that's it's by the drain and stuff too, so there's food debris and stuff. Say what you will about it, but not only is there that, but once or twice somebody peed back there. And so I've cleaned up pee back there a couple times, and today I really got in there and hosed out probably a cubic foot and a half or so of debris from out under the water heater, which you can guess absorbed a lot of the pee or whatever. And yeah, I mean, so every now and then I was catching whiffs of pee back there. Hopefully that's done and nobody pees there again. But yeah, I washed the walls 6 feet up. Just use some whatever orange cleaner. And then we have a hot water, high pressure hose, so I was able to just, but it took a while, and then just leaving work at different times every day too. Am I going to leave at 2 o'clock or 4 o'clock, or am I going to stay late until 6 o'clock? The logistics of having 2 different jobs on the same day for so many reasons. Just get a second job. If I had an apartment, it would be possible. Without an apartment, is not possible. I'm not one of the 55 million men who are sitting around on welfare with no job either. I literally am homeless and have a job. And people say that's not enough. Well, obviously it's not if you're not housed. Can't argue with that, can you? No, I'm gonna, oh, well, how are you starting a business if you don't have time for a second job? Business of the gaps, my friends. I mean, on my Instagram, I've got a schedule. You can see the blue spots are where I'm in the office. Now, if I had professional work that I could do asynchronously in very, very small bites, then yeah, okay, I could have a second job. But that one job would probably pay me more than my first job, right? Like, I just need my foot in the door with something tech. I mean, I'm sitting here talking about minimum wage software development for the last 5 years. Nobody's bit. One person's bit. I got one job like that on Twitter. I replied to a guy in the comments, and then we escalated to DMs, did the work. He paid me. Sweet. So how, that's another way of getting work, is I can find those Twitter threads to reply to the point where, I offered to do it for minimum wage. And so it's like, okay, well, I'll take a risk, So that was a palatable offer too. It wasn't anon as well. I mean, obviously when he paid me, I got his name, which is, that could be a drawback to some. But this guy was just not saying illegal stuff and on just like a professional pen name. I don't want to be too easily found out and on, Or like talking about crypto. I don't want to raise jealousy from my friends and on sort of thing. But like if some random guy knows who I am, who cares? Sort of thing is what I think it was. But yeah, that was, I don't think I can use that person. Well, I can't use that person as a reference because the handoff was messed up, because my handoff was in the last week in the homeless shelter, and I was not going to tell a soul that I was leaving the homeless shelter. For my own reasons, I just kept it 100% on the down low that I was going to leave. And I just actually left at the normal time that I would leave to go to the temp agency that day, the day after Labor Day. I believe I was going to leave and it ended up being Labor Day. So day after Labor Day, I left the homeless shelter. Because it was just ambiguous. I had been there like about 90 days and I wasn't going to get kicked out or whatever. But if I had been there 90 days, my time there was done. And then where do I go? And then winter's coming in Minneapolis. I was in Minneapolis because that's where my relatives were, and I stayed there and I got assaulted, and I didn't have enough money to get back home here. Well, San Francisco home. So I went to the homeless shelter, figured out the worked all summer, and then came back home. And I was looking on the map for cheaper cities nearby within a few hours, and I had one that I was almost going to go to, but then I found this one just on a whim. Like something reminded me of it, and I saw it on the map and I remembered a connection to it. And so I looked into it. I put it into my, pile of stuff that I was looking at, and I came here. And I didn't come here like permanently. I'm like, okay, I'll just go. I'll do the scouted out mode, It checked out. So I'm like, yeah, I'll get a job here. This is cool. And so I did. And the rest is history, as so they say, even though I'm still homeless 2 years later. So going on 2 years ago. Please get me housing. Please. A garage, a place I can grow food. Like, I don't have to start off growing all my own food. Like, I still gotta, like, it'll probably be a few years before I can build up to that. I got to figure out how to grow a few things that grow well here. I got to figure out what grows well here. Probably need at least a couple seasons of doing that. And then I can start to scale, and then I can really start to optimize. And then I can really start to think about what my own whole self-feeding system would look like. And I mean, I could use drones. I could use any kind of AI to help me with my garden, couldn't I? So this is not a weird out there thing. Oh, programmer wants to become a farmer, huh? Being a farmer and being a gardener are going to be different. Farming is a business. Gardening is a hobby. Basically, it's home economics, but it's not my job, I mean, yeah, maybe if I have extra, I gift it or I sell some of it at like a farm stand or whatever, farmer's market, whatever. I mean, that says farm, but even a garden, I'm sure a gardener would be welcome at a farmer's market, because at that point you kind of do become a little bit of a farmer. So it's like a hobbyist farmer. That's it. Yeah, a hobbyist farmer at best, but mostly a gardener. But yeah, I mean, just again, breaking out of the loops, because in a way, like, if observing manifests the loop itself, we got to see new stuff. I'll just wrap out the hour with silence and then we'll sign off. So thanks for joining. Thanks for praying with me, for me. Yeah, if you start up some kind of channel like this or you do stuff like this, drop me an email. You know how to reach me. And I'll subscribe and pop on if I see you. I mean, no promises, anything, but, it's always doing our best. And yeah, I mean, tools to help creators. We're sitting here manifesting, and I'm selling you, man. No, but barter could be a thing. Like, if I'm doing work for you, you're probably gonna want me to win overall, and so if you're like moderating for me in exchange, you're probably gonna take it somewhat seriously, kind of thing, So many plants in this space, I'm practically in nature. It's a different view from here. All right. Thanks for joining. Be well.